What's up, everybody, and welcome to On the Hop with Coach Chop. Today, we're hanging out with Coach McKinley Franklin. Coach, how you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm doing good, Chop. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Good, man. Always a pleasure to get with you and chop it up a little bit.
Yes, sir.
So, Coach, as a retired high school football coach, what are your plans for the future?
Chop, we never retire.
Right.
So I'm gonna tell you what happened, man. Is that I resigned as a head coach with the intentions of staying at the school and still being a part of the program for the kids that are still there that I started with. Those kids went through a lot, man, and so I felt like I'm obligated, as a hurricane, man, to stay there, man, and continue to teach those values, man, that we all grew up with, that we all had, man, and teach those values so that we could keep citrus alive.
Right. I feel you, brother. That's important. You know what I'm saying? We both graduated from Citrus High School.
Yeah.
You know, I'm representing right here today. You know, even though I may be working at another high school, it doesn't mean that I don't have love for my alma mater. You know what I'm saying? I know you'll always have love for Citrus High School. Just,
Chuck, I'm gonna tell you, man, over these last 3 to 4 years, man, I've developed some relationships with some athletes, man, in other schools and other places. And not that that's where my heart's at, but my heart is with these kids. A lot of times we don't understand what these kids may be going through, what they woke up to, and sometimes they may not that the other coaches aren't trying, but we may be able to relate to those kids from this because of the circumstance how we grew up.
Right.
We may be able to relate to some of these kids and be able to help them. I would be doing the injustice to them, and first and foremost, injustice to God, not being who God called me to be.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about Citrus High School. Yeah, I love our alma mater, but it's about the kids in our community.
All kids.
All of them.
Not just one, and I like you said that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I had the podcast, why I wanted to start one. I like, because people don't realize, what us coaches have to go through. Coaching ain't easy. You know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
It is a tough job what we do. And, like I said, like a lot of the stuff that we learn how to relate with these kids, we didn't learn from textbooks. Like you said, it came from life experiences.
Mhm.
And, like I said, we worked together at Cypress Creek, at the little level 10 facility,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So those different type of kids.
Mhm.
But it prepared us for, what we're doing right now. So I just thank God for, all the different things that led up until, me becoming a head coach. And,
Right.
And that just, that experience in the past, kind of helped, kind of make me the coach that I was.
And Chop, the hardest part about it, man, is the people that you love the most, man. They have to be able to understand that the calling that God have in on our life is more important than anything. And sometimes, man, as a head coach, we have to pretend to step back away from it a little bit so that our loved ones can feel the love that we have, the love that we give other people. We still have to be able to give that to our family and whatnot. Not that it's difficult. It comes in a different type of way, though. You know what I'm saying? My kids follow me around the football field since I've had them. And they got to be a part of seeing kids change in the process. Man, some mistakes that I made was not taking that full time out away from it and saying, okay, guys, I'm taking this whistle off, I'm taking this hat off, man. Let's go to the beach. Let's go cook on this grill. Let's do something, man. Let's do something for us.
Right.
We get so caught up into our calling, which is okay, but we have to be able to say, okay, man, let's back away from it. Kids, let's do our family thing so we can continue to keep our stabilization in our normal life together.
Right. You got to have that balance.
Yeah.
Without balance, man, I mean, it's hard to make anything work.
Mhm.
So I tell kids and people all the time, the priorities got to be right. I always say, this is me, God first, then you got your family,
Mhm.
and then you got your, whatever God has gifted you to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like, if you keep those things intact, I think that, you'll find success.
Yes.
So
Like this video, be sure to subscribe for more content.
I think that's cool. You know, we pretty much we have the same type of. I think we feel the same way about that. You know what I'm saying? I
Yes.
think we share that same passion, desire.
I think that's what made our success. I'm gonna say you and we had some success, man, as coaches
Oh yeah,
together.
for
And
sure.
you know, I remember you came and said, "Cuz man, I want you to come out here, man. I want you to come coach with me. Come coach with me, man." And when it finally happened at Lecanto, man, it was like, wow, man, here we go. Started off a little rough, but then, man, when we got rolling, man, it wasn't. I'm gonna say it wasn't our coaching mind that kept us going. I think it was the God in us that we want to give to these kids to make them men
Right,
first, and then a coach.
right,
Then we coached them. You know, we was able to coach them through that process. They had to understand, man. They had to go through that fire first. They had to be refined first before they could even accept what we had. And so the process of us doing that and doing that together, man, it was awesome, man. Next thing you know, man, we breaking records at Lecanto High School. Then both of us, you go over to Citrus. Then here, next thing you know, the following year, I'm at Citrus High School, man, and here we are. Beat Nature Coach, something that we hadn't done, and all those great things and all the things that we put into those young men, and then not to mention the greatest thing that you done, man, with this with the weightlifting team, man, when we had those guys, man, the first state championship weightlifting team, man, that you developed with those kids, man, and how you molded them to be a true team.
right.
Those guys, they did it with themselves, man. They pushed themselves. Of course, you had to motivate them. We had to, push them a bit, but those guys did it because of the background that you instilled into them, and that's what you've always done, man. That's what makes the quality coach in you come out, man. Is first of all, you put God first, and we set the groundwork for these young men not to be silly,
Right.
and so I mean that's just phenomenal, just our success alone, but we give God the credit for that,
Absolutely. God always gets the glory. Absolutely. And everything that we do. And like you said, it always goes back to, the kids have got to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If the kids know that you genuinely love them, I mean, like I said, kids, they'll run through a brick wall for you. You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's one of the things I learned, early along the way, as a young coach. If these kids, if they don't think that you love them, you're not gonna get out of them, what other coaches may be able to get out of them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think that's the secret sauce. Love.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Love covers all multitude. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
it
Love
does.
covers all. So I think that's huge. So
And one thing, Mo Chop, is this: coaches that are just coming into it, what they have to understand is that just because that kid don't respond to them right now, it doesn't mean that kid is against you. We're the coach. We're the coach for a reason. It's us that we have to be able to find ways to get through to that young man or that young woman, to get them to do what they have to do in this sport, to do what they have to do, and not just but in life.
right,
It's about life. The football program and all these athletic programs are designed for a reason. They're designed for these kids, and sometimes the kids need the program more than the program need the kid.
right,
And we talk about that quite often. You got a bad kid out there, man, that's just going through heck. He's a good athlete, but he's really not, because he's not doing what he's supposed to do.
right,
And so we have to not give up on that kid.
right.
I posted that on Facebook, man, a while back. Just because a kid give up on himself, it doesn't mean that kid wants us to give up on him.
Right. You're right about that. You can always find stuff for kids. There's so many facets to the game. You got offense, defense. Whether you can put them on the extra point team and say your job is just to block down and just let them have pride in doing that.
And something.
Right, in something, and then that and that type of stuff carries over to for these kids for the rest of their life.
Yes, it does, man.
So I think that's really special. So, Coach, what inspired you to become a football coach, and was there a specific moment or person who influenced your decision?
Chop, man, growing up, I had to battle. I had to battle on the football field, battle at practice. And I'm gonna say it personally. Me, I thought I was probably the best offensive lineman during my time at our school. However, I just didn't get a chance, and not to anybody's fault. Maybe it is my fault. I don't know, but I felt like some of my coaches didn't give me what I needed, and so in my mindset, man, I wanted to be that difference for somebody else. I didn't want one kid to ever come through any program that I coached here to say that my coach didn't give me what I needed.
Right.
You know, and that's what I'm gonna tell you. That's one of my biggest weaknesses, Chop, is that, but it's my strength. I really give to these kids the best that I can. I give them all that I can when I can. And I'm not talking giving them money. I'm just talking about giving them the some of them need a peace of mind. Some of them need some advice. Some kids, they don't have a dad. Some kids, some of them living on the streets. Some of them are living in tents, man. And so their lifestyles, man, you try and give them, I'm trying to give them some hope. I don't care about winning a football game right now.
Right.
I got some kids that been in the program, man, that the kids not going into abusive stuff, and they need not physical stuff, but it's some of these things like mentally binding them, you know, that the thing they have to live with. And so I try and help them, and not through me, but man, through God, because if the man inside of me gives them some advice, it's destruction.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I try and give these kids the things that I didn't get as an athlete, and I feel like 10 years from now, I'm going to get that kid to come back to me and say, Coach, I appreciate it. Thank you. You know?
And I'm sure that's probably happened. You know, it's happened to me quite a bit.
Yep.
You know, it happened. Matter of fact, I was at a Salvation Army place right down the road, and we were picking up a couple things, and one of the cashier girls, you know, had coached from years ago. It just feels good to see kids having kids, to see kids get married, you know, to see kids and you know, for them to have the same respect for you now as they did, you know, when they were children. You know what I'm saying? So that's always a good feeling for me.
Man, we have this athlete that we coached in common. We coached this kid in common, and there was a group of them. They were all best friends at Lecanto.
The Bubbies, or which ones?
Brenneman.
Yeah. Tough kid. Yeah.
All those
Tanner Brenneman.
Yes, sir. All those kids, man. Actually, I live across the street from his sister, so I get to see him whenever he come home. And so there was a wedding, man. I was invited to the wedding for Brian Breedlove, and so I went to this wedding, man. These guys all looked at me and was like, Coach, man, thank you for coming. These guys hugging me, man. All of them doing great. Coach, you and Coach Chop, man, y'all did wonders with us, and now they're going on she started telling me how hard I worked them, you know.
Right.
And he said, but Coach, guess what? Look, we made it, you know.
Right.
Everything you did for us, you know, everything you put us through, it made us better men, you know.
Right.
Chop, that's the biggest paycheck I ever get.
Right.
Really.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know that, like, people don't realize, like, we were hard coaches, especially when we coached together at Citrus, you know what I'm saying? But the kids always remember the coaches that were hard on them, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But they knew that with that hardness came love, with it. You know what I'm saying? That's why they knew, okay, if Coach asks us to do this, you know, we're going to do it because he's not going to ask us to do it if it's not going to make us better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's where that trust comes in with these kids, you know? So, you know, and that's a day-to-day thing. You know, you got to build that trust with these kids. And you know, it's, you know, like I say, it's, you know, they have what they call differentiated instruction in the classroom. It's the same thing. Same thing applies with coaching. Now, these kids aren't the same. Right. So you got to, like, treat everybody a little bit different. You know, I learned that from Jimmy Johnson. You know, he didn't treat everybody the same.
Right.
The famous Dallas Cowboy coach, you know, one of my favorite coaches all the time. But, you know, I read different books on how he, you know, did, you know, with his players and whatnot in the past. And that helped me, you know, with these high school kids.
Let me ask you this, Chop. In your time growing as an athlete to now, did you find that you had several coaches that made an impact in your life in different areas of your life?
I tell you what, man, even from like middle school, starting out with Coach Lawton Rowland. I mean, Coach was tough on us. And I mean, you know, back in like the late 80s and early 90s, that's back when, you know, we still had corporal punishment, you know. So, you know, so if you didn't do right in the classroom, you know, it wasn't nothing for a coach to come pull you out and give you a paddle in the hallway and send you back to that desk with well, with your behind on fire. You know what I'm saying? But you know, parents didn't really complain about that stuff back then.
Right,
You know, so
right.
that's just one of the differences that you know, that how it was back then. You know, and
Versus
how we deal
now.
with kids today.
Yeah.
You know, but you have to adapt. You know what I'm saying? You know, we're not gonna be walking around with paddles in our back pocket, but
Right.
you know, but we do have to give that you know, that consistent just being firm, fair, and consistent with these kids on a daily basis.
Right. Right.
So,
See, I had mine really didn't start. Well, mine started in middle school. It was with Coach Taylor, man.
right.
Coach Taylor was the guy that started with me. I'll never forget it, Chop. I brought a D. Well, I brought more than a D. There was a couple of D's.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Taylor, he called me in that office, man. He had that padlock, man. He lit me up, man.
Right.
I'm talking, wore me out. So bad to where my 8th grade year, I didn't play football. I was mad at him.
Right.
I was mad at him. You know, like, man, how you know I struggle anyway. You know I don't like to come here anyway to do the work.
Right.
So now you're going. But at the end of the day, when it rolled back around, when I got in high school, I understood why then. You know, and then here it is. You know, almost 30 years later. Well, I'm gonna say, 25 years later. Here I am coaching. I'm teaching with my coach that gave me the guidance that I didn't accept at first,
Right.
and now accepted it. And you know, Coach Taylor,
Right.
Tim Cromer
Tim Crow.
was one of my spiritual people. Even Steve Sherlin, Coach Sherlin was one of my spiritual people. You know, Coach Sherlin and his wife Twyla, Miss Sherlin, they was like the other mother and father to me. You know, I had a mom and dad. You know, but you always have that person at the school that you can always go to. You always talk to. You know,
Right.
and still to this day, I'm in contact with Coach Sherlin and Miss Sherlin. And then the person that gave me the hard nosed side of me, man, came from Kilpatrick, man.
Kilpatrick.
Yeah, Kilpatrick, man. That fella, man, Coach Kilpatrick was the roughest coach, the toughest coach mentally that I've ever dealt with. You know,
Right.
Coach Kilpatrick broke me as a person and helped make me as a man. You know, as a physical man, as a mental man. The spiritual side of it, man, that came from Tim Cromer, Sherlin, and those guys, man. And I'm thankful for them. I am.
Right.
Yep.
I tell you, that coach that did it for me, that kind of broke me and pulled me out of my shell, was Coach Brooks from Crystal River. You know, I remember being a young man, about 10, 11 years old, kind of being kind of gun shy. You know how it is when you first start playing football. You don't really want to feel that contact just yet. You don't really know, you know. And just to have him kind of hover over me, like, you know, Coach Brooks now. Coach Brooks is a very serious man.
Very serious.
And it's a very tough man. And to have him, you know, he's about every bit of 260 pounds, nothing but solid muscle. And him tell, hey, if you don't do this, you're gonna run around this. You're gonna run around Whisper Pies 117 times.
If you ain't run, Chop, he'll drag you.
He gonna drag you. Exactly. So I tell you, Coach Brooks, man, if you watch this, man, I really appreciate you. You really poured into me and made me the type of coach that you know, it just kind of carried over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, you had coaches that probably poured into him the same way, and you know, we just kind of passed that torch and, you know, to that next man, you know, and that carries on. So I think that's special.
We want you to be a part of this incredible journey, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. When you subscribe, you'll be the first to know about new episodes, game recaps, and inspiring stories.